Hey there, welcome to Harrison by the Stream, your guide to streaming content in Australia. This week we're going to talk about 5 different underrated comedies that are on Netflix Australia that you can watch right now. Basically, my list sort of comprises of films that I feel like are really underrated. They're either films that weren't big box office hits, they weren't really on people's radars when they came out, but over time they're basically what I feel are like underrated gems. They're films that I come back to or I tell people about constantly, and guess what? Now they're on Netflix, so you can watch it really, really easily. In fact, you could probably just watch them all in one day if you got their 30-month free trial. It's going to be awesome. So let's get started. Now, the first flick I'm going to talk about is Grandma's Boy. Grandma's Boy is a 2006 stoner comedy starring Alan Covert. For those who don't kind of know him, it may look a little bit weird, he may look a little bit different, but if anybody's seen an Adam Sandler film from around about 1996 to 2003, you kind of know who Alan Covert is. He usually shows up randomly in a film such as Anger Management or Mr. Deeds. He's there for like maybe a minute or two, and you kind of get him, and you kind of notice him, but you didn't really notice him that much. And then in 2006, Grandma's Boy came out. It didn't make that much money, but it's a super weird stoner film. The premise of it is that Covert's character, Alex, he gets kicked out of his apartment, and he has to go live with his grandmother and her roommates. It's kind of weird, and it's also a time capsule for a time in 2006 where like gaming was really, really huge, but not enough to kind of sell a movie. There is a lot of video games and product placement in this film, but like barely anybody saw it. I don't think it made any more than $25 million, but it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun for a stoner flick. There's a lot of weird stuff that kind of happens, a lot of pot-related humor. Some of the stand-up performances from Nick Swardson, who you may actually know from a few other Adam Sandler films, and Doris Roberts, who plays Covert's grandmother, is a riot. You may know her as well from Everybody Loves Raymond. There's also a very young Jonah Hill, and a fantastic performance from Linda Cardellini, who plays an ad executive who comes in to try and save the video game company. And I have to say, the character of JP, played by Joel David Moore, who you may know from a few films, such as Dodgeball or Avatar or, God forbid, The Hottie and the Noddy.
What are you doing, JP?
Just thinking about my game. How can he see me?
He plays a fantastic, very weird Wonder Kid character who just makes robot noises. That's kind of his character. And I also think his robot voice might have been based off Nick Swardson's robot voice, but Joel David Moore nailed it in an audition or something. I think it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. It's very, very weird, but it's a lot of fun. The second film I want to talk about is Boy by Taika Waititi. It is a fantastic film from New Zealand that came out in 2010. It is a very creative, very fun, very wonderful story about a young boy who basically has sort of difficulty with sort of knowing who his family is, especially when his estranged father returns after a couple of years to basically find some buried treasure. Now, I know this sounds like an 80s film. It is set in 1984, but it has a definite heart and nostalgia and quirkiness to it that you kind of don't see with a lot of films. There is... it's kind of weird that like there was this sort of weird subset between 2004 and like 2011 where there's like these kind of quirky films like Juno and to some degree Safety Not Guaranteed, where there was kind of these slightly weird premises, but it was kind of like quirky and dialogue's weird and stuff like that. Boy is not like that. I know the trailer kind of might look like that, but that's kind of just to get in a certain crowd, I guess. But yeah, it's a wonderful, wonderful film. James Rolson, who plays the boy in the film, is wonderful. His delivery, his pacing, the way that he sort of speaks with everybody, it's really, really natural. All the dialogue feels natural despite some mildly fantastical elements that sort of plays into it, especially the boy's brother, Rocky, who is just kind of out there. He's a really out there kid. It's kind of cool. It's a lot of fun. It's a bit Wes Anderson-y to some degree, but a lot with a lot less sort of a lot less white people problems kind of thing. If you didn't know that I liked Wes Anderson, then you have mistaken what this mustache means. The third film I really want to talk about is called Cheap Thrills. Cheap Thrills is a fucking crazy, I guess a thriller comedy is what it would be called. There's a lot of tension. It's about two guys kind of down on their luck. They meet a couple, the man played by David Koechner, who you may know from Anchorman 1 and 2. He's really, really sort of crazy premise, almost a bit like, almost like Saw meets Horrible Bosses. It's about two guys who basically, they need money. They need money to get things done in their lives, and they meet these two very weird characters, and I'm not gonna tell you what the full premise is, but they do some crazy stuff just to get paid. It's a really, really, really fucked up premise. You're kind of just drawn into this world, and it kind of doesn't stop. You don't... I want to spoil so much of this, but you really have to see. It's a lot of funny. The dialogue is really, really punchy. It came out only a few years ago. It was in a limited release, and I'm so glad that it's on Netflix. It's a really, really fun, crazy film. Like, watch it with some friends and kind of like watch some like, man, how crazy is The Hangover? I'm like, man, you thought The Hangover was crazy. Check out Cheap Thrills. Who talks like that? That's so weird. Ah, boy. The fourth and kind of fifth film, I'm gonna kind of cheat here because it's by the same director, is Office Space and Idiocracy. Both incredible satirical films by Mike Judge, who you may know from Beavis and Butthead, and Silicon Valley, which is a fantastic HBO show. Both films are streaming right now on Netflix. Office Space, if you don't know or if you haven't seen it yet, look, if you work an office job, you really should see Office Space, or if you've ever worked an office job, you will have so much comedic empathy for these characters. The main guy, Peter Fitzgibbons, played by Ron Livingston. Basically, your regular Joe, working day by day, hates his day job like everybody else, and then one day, he goes to a hypnotherapist with his shitty girlfriend, and he just goes through this transformation, and he just stops caring. And again, that's the premise of the movie, and he tries to bring down his entire company through apathy and a little bit of code. There are some fantastic performances here by David Herman, who you actually may know as a voice actor more than anything else, who actually has appeared on Judge's show, King of the Hill, and especially if you're a fan of Futurama, you've heard his voice constantly. Also, Gary Cole, who I love dearly because I love the show Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law. He plays this super lame boss for Initech, which is the company that I work for. Fantastic appearances also by everybody's favorite doctor, Dr. Cox, who's played by John C. McGinley. There's a lot of fun, a lot of ridiculous moments in here. Now, Idiocracy, on the other hand, is a bit more dark, to say the least. It's basically a film where the United States has just devolved completely into dumbness. Luke Wilson plays a guy who is frozen. He's the everyman. He is so average. He gets tested average on everything, so much so that he is the perfect species specimen to freeze and then put into a time capsule and then thawed out over 500 years later. And it's a really great window into 2006 when it was made. And how we've come so far from then to some degree. The film is very weird on some occasions. The satire is spot on, including a sequence where Luke Wilson's character goes to a film, and the film is called Ass, and it's just a butt farting for 90 minutes. That's it. That's literally one joke in the film, and it's hilarious every time I see it. There's a lot of fantastic actors in here again as well. Terry Crews, like pre-Brooklyn Nine-Nine, pre-Old Spice ads, he's in there. He's hilarious. Justin Long, who is in there briefly, is really, really fun, as well as Dax Shepard. There's a lot. Oh man, Mike Judge, so fucking funny. Both of those films are on Netflix. You really should check it out now. Now I know me putting two Mike Judge films. I didn't want to make that. Oh, Mike Judge. Well, I already love Mike Judge. What am I going to say here? The fifth film I really want to talk about is Happy Go Lucky by Mike Leigh. I visit this film once a year. I really, really love it a lot. It's a film about a character named Poppy, played by Sally Hawkins, who you may have seen in Blue Jasmine, the Woody Allen film, or from Godzilla last year. It's really a slice of life comedy about a girl named Poppy who is just so sweet-natured and kind and confident and so happy that it kind of like ruins the people's lives around it. Like, the people are like absurd about how happy and how joyful she is. She just kind of lives through her life, and the main kind of conflict for the film is actually she has a driving instructor. She's trying to get her license, named Scott, and he's just this terribly mean and horrible person, and she just tries to keep this positivity in her life going, and it's so wonderful. It's such a beautiful film. I actually think I know I'm kind of also cheating for this list because I think that film won a lot of awards as well. From what I remember, back in 2008. God damn, that was when The Dark Knight came out. 2008 was a good year for film, guys. I should just do a film about films from 2008 that are on Netflix. I wanted to make another shorter video, and really, I've been watching a lot of Netflix recently, and there's a lot of stuff on there. I know that people are like writing articles like, I'm disappointed by Netflix. I'm like, well, you are probably not looking at the same stuff. Like, you just really, I feel the best thing about streaming content is that you get to explore a lot, and especially in terms of documentaries and indie cinema. I really want to do something like this, maybe once a month, pointing out some really, really great flicks that you should check out, but I want to categorize them and to make sure that it's just like, no, he's just going to talk about whatever film he wants. So here, 5 underrated comedies I really like. There's Grandma's Boy, right there. Check it out. This is great. How great is technology and editing? Grandma's Boy, I don't even have to point to them. I can just nod to them. Grandma's Boy, Cheap Thrills, Idiocracy, and Office Space. Watch both of them. They're both really, really good. And Happy Go Lucky, which I think it's one of my favorite films. And I feel like there's not enough people watching comedies on Netflix. I feel like there's a lot of stand-up specials, which I might do a video on in the future, but more importantly, these are some pretty funny films. You should check them out. Grandma's Boy, maybe not so much. That's just because I have nostalgia and I like stoner films. But the other ones, go for it. Go watch them right now. I'm going to put them links in the description below. Thank you so much again for watching Harrison by the Stream. You're wonderful. Do like us on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter at Harrison the Fan. I'm going to put that down there as well. And have a wonderful day. You know, comedy's great. Yeah, Harrison by the Stream. What am I doing? I'm a sad, sad man. Oh, Jesus.